Lions catching a break on Sunday. That is for sure now a really banged up Jets team. Ian Eagle will join us as well from CBS Sports, a Friday edition of Locked On Lions.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network. Matt Dery with you. A special Friday edition before a big game. 6-7 Lions at the 7-6 Jets on Sunday. It's a Friday, December 16th and a Saturday, December 17th. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day and checking us out on our YouTube channel, Locked On Lions, of course, on YouTube. And, of course, following us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, at Locked On Lions, and also the Matt Dery Facebook fan page. Coming up on the show today, the voice, one of the voices of CBS Sports on the NFL side, Ian Eagle, the Birdman, who joins Charles Davis and Evan Washburn each and every Sunday. It's the number 2 CBS team here. Ian's going to join us to talk some Jets and Lions. It's an interview I recorded with him last night, so there's some news of the day that was not included in the interview, so keep that in mind when you watch this. But big news today, of course, as the Lions get ready for the Jets, is that Mike White is not going to play. And this is the quarterback that the Jets have been rallying around for the last 3 weeks, and somebody that many in the New York media felt is better than Zach Wilson, is better for the team than Zach Wilson. But now, the discarded Wilson, a guy that just 3 weeks ago was sent to the inactive list as the third quarterback behind Joe freaking Flacco, is going to start on Sunday against the Lions because Mike White was not cleared by doctors to play Sunday. He's got some rib issues. He took a beating last week against the Bills. So now the Lions, who were half a point underdogs to the Jets, are now 1.5 point favorites on Sunday against Zach Wilson, who's been kind of a bust for 2 years as the number 2 overall pick out of BYU. Lions are going to get their shot at Wilson. And as Colton Pouncey from The Athletic put today on Twitter, and I thought this was very good, either Wilson lights it up and this is his statement game, like this is my team and I want my job back, or he's going to get booed off the field and play so poorly like he has the last few weeks before his benching that the Lions could get to 500 and feast. I like the Lions a lot in this game without Mike White. White's a rallier. White's a guy that locker room really likes. He's got a good connection with Garrett Wilson. Are Wilson and Zach White going to kind of connect and get into Zach Wilson, not White, on Sunday? I don't see it. I think this opens up big time doors for the Lions to get a road win Sunday in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. This is a big loss for the Jets not having Mike White. So I like this. Remember, it was Wilson about a month ago that after one of the losses, after the last game he played, was asked about is he letting the defense down with how poorly the offense played against the Patriots, and Wilson said no. And he lost the locker room with that. And now all of a sudden he's going to come back and have to play in a very, very big game for the Jets for their playoff hopes against an upstart Lions team on Sunday. I think this is good news for Detroit. Ian Eagle coming up momentarily from CBS. We're going to get his thoughts on this game coming up this weekend. But first, we're brought to you by our friends at Tommy John. Don't make your loved ones face the dead of winter in old t-shirts, ancient underwear, and ratty sweats. Help them fight cold with Cozy and give them the gift of Tommy John. At Tommy John, you're that much more comfortable, or you can do everything better. Shop Tommy John's Wrap It Up sale right now and give the gift of comfort to everyone on your list, including yourself, with new Tommy John underwear, loungewear, and pajamas. With over 18 million pairs sold, giving Tommy John has become a holiday tradition. 97% of women and men love getting a gift from Tommy John. I love their stuff because the pajamas are just so comfortable. I got the loungewear as well. It's fantastic. They sent me some khakis earlier this year. I like that as well. Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics. All right? Head to Tommy John right now, their website. We're going to tell it to you in a second, for their Wrap It Up sale, and get 30% off everything plus free shipping at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. Order now so your gifts arrive before the holidays. TommyJohn.com/lockedon. See site for details. 30% off. Get to it. Plus free shipping at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. All right, folks, you know it's a big game. The Lions get this man to call it on CBS. Ian Eagle is with us, CBS Sports, on the call Sunday for the Lions and the Jets. Ian, of course, also does the Jets on the preseason TV broadcast and joins us today. What's up, brother?
What is up, Diesel? Very excited. Great timing on the Detroit Lions. They're one of the biggest stories in the NFL, and this is a huge game. You look at the playoff complexion for both teams. This is a must-have on both ends.
When was the last time we had you on a Lions call? It's been a while.
Oh, man. I think Fouts and I had a Matt Patricia game, and I'll tell you exactly when it was, and you'll remember the specifics. Matthew Stafford was a question mark, yet we still talked to him in the production meeting, and then he did not play the next day. And everybody was like, whoa, what's going on here? So there was a little rope-a-dope going on behind the scenes where they still gave us Stafford, and I want to say, was it Driscoll?
Yes, Jeff Driscoll.
Yes. So that's the last Lions game that I had on television.
I think it was in Denver.
I think you are 100% correct on that.
That's
yes.
Crazy. What a wild season. Like, week 15, and we're getting you and Charles Davis and Evan Washburn. Yes. Shout out to Evan. I don't know Evan Washburn. Is he a good guy?
Oh, terrific guy. I really have formed a close friendship with him. We've been on the same crew together now for so many years. He's terrific at his job and a really good person.
Good. We're getting you for week 15, but I mean, to think that, you're going to be on the call here for week 15 Lions and Jets at the start of the year, there was no way you would have thought you'd be assigned to this one, right?
Yeah, it's interesting, Matt, because I think the hard knocks angle every year, you have random NFL fans that fall in love with a team because they feel some connection to them. And then when the team struggles out of the gate, they just move on. They're like, all right, yeah, forget about it. That didn't really work out. So I think you had a bunch of fans around the NFL that bought in to Dan Campbell and the Lions and the culture and the turnaround. And then when they get off to the rough start, they moved on. Now maybe they're jumping back on because it's been such a great storyline and the offense is explosive and creative. And they're in the thick of this thing. This is not just a nice December story. You look at the way things are lining up, they have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs. Obviously, they're going to have to get it done on the road. That has not been necessarily an easy challenge for them to overcome. Last couple of games, yes, but over the totality of the season, the numbers are just so out of whack with Goff. His numbers at home, insane. His numbers on the road, not very good. So we're going to find out about them this week and see if this is a team that can back up some of the things that they're really feeling behind the scenes, or if they fade off a bit into the sunset in a big December matchup.
It's amazing, and no, I mean, I think people were into it. Like you said, everything that went on with Hard Knocks, and as I like to call it, and you see the sign behind me, 222 Rodwood Drive, as a listener sent this to me before the season. But the hype was out of control, and obviously they start 1-6. But you see all of these teams. I guess my question is, the Lions aren't that far away, but really any of these teams are not that far away. This is not the NFL you and I were used to when it was Dallas and San Francisco and dominant teams at the top, right?
Yeah, I think the NFL likes this in that the parity creates more interest around the league. There are more fans that feel like they're a part of it, and the games have more meaning because the separation is so slim. There's another part of that discussion where you could make the case that it's better when there's a team clearly at the top and everybody is gunning for them. That's just not the case this year. Look, Kansas City's very good. Buffalo's very good. Give credit to Cincinnati for now playing their best ball down the stretch. Philadelphia, obviously the record speaks for itself. Are they all world beaters? No, they're not. Buffalo, the Von Miller injury is huge, immense. You get into a huge playoff game and you need one play defensively that guy could have made for you. And now he's not there. You don't have his presence. Kansas City had them last week against Denver. Offensively, yeah, they're really good. But is it the same mystique as it once was with Tyreek Hill? It's not. You just don't feel the game-breaking part of it. Mahomes is through the roof impressive. But he can also throw picks, and their defense could go through stretches where they're just not stopping anybody consistently. Cincinnati, in the really good side of say recently, we saw the other side early in the season. Which side are we going to see come playoff time? Philadelphia had that Indianapolis game where they easily could have lost the game, easily lost. So I'm not saying they're the Tennessee from last year where they were the 1 seed in the AFC, but you never really believed that they could do it. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a surprise team in the NFC this year similar to Cincinnati last year. That's why if you're Detroit, you are looking around and saying, why not us?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Ian Eagle with us from CBS. By the way, when you were talking to Russell Wilson last week, did he say, Ian and Charles, let's ride or no?
Yeah. Yeah, I had something in the back of my mind. Wilson got knocked out of the game, so there was no way that I was going to go there during the game.
Yeah.
But, there were definitely some options wordplay wise if things worked out a certain way. Russell was very positive, and
Yeah.
it's not an act, by the way. Like people think, oh, he turns it on. It's not. Like this is truly who he is, and it's really who he's been from day one. I remember his rookie year going into Seattle. Dan Fouts and I had a fairly early game of his, maybe his third game, fourth game. And Pete Carroll, we met with Pete first. He said, "Oh, you're going to be blown away. Yeah, this guy is so optimistic and positive." And we're like, "Okay, sure." And then he comes into the room. You're like, "Oh man, he really is." You're not going to crack the veneer, and it's just grown. He's been emboldened by winning and being successful. And even the things he talked about last week, it was not from the perspective of complete disappointment. It was, we're facing adversity. We're going to handle it. We're going to grow from this. This team's close, like all the things that you would take out of a handbook and say, all right, if you're really struggling, just go with this. And he does.
Speaking of quarterbacks, you mentioned Jared Goff before. Where do you rank him right now? And what are you seeing that all of a sudden he's in the Pro Bowl discussion?
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a total light switch being flipped over the last, 5-6 weeks?
Yeah, I want to say this in a way that people understand it's a positive thing. And I know if you just took a transcript of what I'm about to say, some would say, oh, it's kind of a knock. It's not. But Jared Goff is the perfect system quarterback. If you have a really good system and you have the right, as he showed in LA, he can do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's already been there on film. This system is really creative, and he's got a tremendous offensive line, one of the top groups in the NFL. So he's got protection. He's got good balance in a running game, which hasn't been great of late, but it's there. And you know that it's there if you need it. It's reliable enough. And then he's got serious weapons at the wide receiver position. He's playing great. He deserves credit. This is not a knock at all. But the system is working, and he fits the system. Does that mean it's going to work all the time, that 3 years from now he's still the starter and they paid him? I don't know. I just know that it's not as large an issue as everyone assumed it would be coming into the season. They're going to have a high draft pick based on smart business decisions that they made in regards to the trade with LA. Do they go QB? That's for another time. You're going to break that down, I'm sure, so many times
Do it every day.
Locked On Lions. But for today, boy, is it working? Has he been doing his job well? Is there a command? There is. Everything has just fit together nicely for this offense this season.
Ian Eagle, one of the voices on CBS Sports. We'll have a call on Sunday of the Lions and the Jets from the Meadowlands. Ian's home state, by the way. In New Jersey. What?
Not original.
Not the New Jersey Jets. Like what? Was
I'm
that ever a discussion?
You got to realize that it's hard for me to hear someone say that, even though I've now lived in the state of New Jersey for 26 years.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
It's still hard. I'm I'm a New York guy. I'm from
Right.
Queens.
Right.
So if you grow up in this area from New York, New Jersey is thought of as an armpit. You didn't even entertain the idea of living in New Jersey. I got the Nets job in 1994. I was living in Manhattan, and my wife, who's from New Jersey, eventually was like, "What are you doing? You're reverse commuting." I was like, "No, no way, no."
Yeah.
And then eventually we looked at a place. Initially, I said, I will only look at places in New Jersey where I can see New York. I
Oh,
have to be able
geez.
to see the city. And that didn't really work out. And we ended up going deeper. And it's been great. So, yes, you're right. I do get a quote unquote home game. And I have noticed this year, because of my schedule, for whatever reason, it's broken this way. There's a more definitive dent on my side of the bed because I've been home more
Wow.
than I ever have in my career doing the NFL in 25 seasons with CBS. It's been wild.
Tell me of another play-by-play guy that's going to take you into the bedroom like Iron Eagle is tonight.
That's right. This is like, when are you airing this? Is this late
Tomorrow,
night?
Friday.
Okay, yeah, maybe after midnight. You
You don't
post
get this on the Jimmy Trainer pod. Come on
it.
now.
No, he doesn't ask anything about my bedroom.
He's just too busy with the gambling stories. More with Iron Eagle coming up next. We'll talk to him about this matchup, but Iron's going to like this. We're brought to you today by our friends at Total Wine and More.
Oh wow,
Are you a Total Wine guy?
I am. I do have a membership. Yes.
How about that? This holiday season, find out what you love at Total Wine and More. With so many great bottles to choose from, it's easy to find a new favorite Cabernet or Chardonnay or the perfect gifts for everybody on your list with some help from a friendly guide, and all with the confidence of knowing you found something special for the lowest price. Love what you find only at Total Wine and More. Curbside pickup and delivery available in most areas. Visit TotalWine.com to learn more. Drink responsibly. Be 21. All right, more with Iron Eagle here from CBS. Big game Sunday, Lions and the Jets. I know you've seen the Jets plenty, and you're in that area, so you're obviously following what they're doing. What do you think of this matchup? I mean, if Quinton Williams doesn't play, that would be huge for the Lions. And Mike White, my goodness, Ian. I mean, he got decapitated last week, huh?
He did. Buffalo teed off on him. He showed his grit. There's a reason why he's become so popular in this locker room. When we asked him a couple of weeks ago, we had the Minnesota game against the Jets. How do you walk that fine line of being a backup quarterback and developing chemistry with your teammates without stepping on toes? And he said, look, on the practice field, of course, if you're QB2, you're QB3, you know your role and you support QB1. But in the locker room, that's where you can bond. That's where you can find commonality. And I think Mike is a very likable guy. That's first and foremost. You can see why guys have been galvanized by his presence, and it's personal relationships. It's pulling guys to the side. It's telling them what he sees, giving his perspective, even when he wasn't the starting quarterback. And there is a toughness. Clearly, there's a toughness that he's going to be in there this week because he did get pummeled against Buffalo. You mentioned the Quinton Williams injury. It's a calf injury. If he doesn't play, it's a big hole. They have rotated very nicely. They've got a good thing going on that front, but he's a Pro Bowler, an absolute Pro Bowl player this year. He's had a huge season, the best season of his career, and that's saying something because he's been an excellent player prior to this. You know, Sheldon Rankins is someone they rely on in that spot. They'll mix and match as well, but it would be a hit for them defensively. Big picture, what's happened to them has been this injection of youth. And Joe Douglas, their GM, he just hit on a lot of draft picks, and they needed it.
Yeah.
You look back last year, Matt, they just didn't have the players. They didn't have the personnel. They were last in the NFL in defense, and that really had to affect Robert Saleh, Dearborn guy that prides himself on his scheme and his ability to get the most out of players. They just didn't have the guys to do it. They have this year. And then offensively, adding skill position players through the draft, through free agency, and they're banged up. You know, Breece Hall may have been a candidate for offensive rookie of the year. That's how well he was playing. He was a game breaker, and they've had to get by without him. Yet they find other options, and they're still very potent offensively with a very young group.
Dude, what happens if White gets hurt again? Are they really going to put Zach Wilson in? I mean, and what that crowd do?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
We've obviously done a bunch of games this year for the Jets, so we've talked to Zach Wilson a great deal during some highs where the team was winning and the focus wasn't as much on his individual play, and then some lows where the New England game was rock bottom, where he could not figure it out. Bill Belichick has owned him, and he's not the first young quarterback that's happened to. It happened to Sam Darnold as well when he was a member of the Jets. So in our production meetings, I would tell you his confidence never wavered. His mentality never seemed to waver. Obviously, what happened post-game was probably part of why the Jets had to make the decision, that he wasn't understanding that he was to blame for their ineptitudes on offense. What has he learned in 3 weeks? I have no idea. What's changed mechanically, philosophically? I don't know. He clearly has talent. The guy was the number 2 overall pick. He throws a pretty ball. He is very agile and can run and make plays on the run. The issue has been lack of command, and Mike White has had command of this offense. Is it translating into wins? Not yet. He's 1-2 this year as a starter, and they've thrown the ball a ton with White. To answer your question, if Zach had to come in, what would the crowd do? It really would depend on the circumstances, and it's definitely a hot button issue here in New York, where he fits in, what his future is. Flacco had been the backup behind White. He's not the backup this week.
Final thing for Ian Eagle from CBS on the call of Sunday's game. Of course, catch him too on the NBA with the Nets, TNT, and college basketball on CBS. Are you excited? I mean, who are you excited to talk to with the Lions? How's that going to work? And I'm sure you can't wait to chew on Dan Campbell's ear a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny. I had Dan his first game, I believe, as interim coach of the Miami Dolphins. So he had never done a production meeting as a coach, and he just came in with spit and vinegar, and everything you see is what you get. It's the real McCoy. This is who he is. He's not playing a character. He's not trying to be someone else. He's very much himself, and I appreciate that a great deal. Clearly, the guys love playing for him, and he's found something. He's found a motivating factor. He's found a visceral approach that works for this group. Yeah, we're going to talk to Jared Goff. We're going to talk to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And who else are we talking to on the defensive side? I think Aiden Hutchinson. That's the last guy that we have on the list. So really looking forward to it. I don't get a lot of Lions games, so to get this matchup at this time of year with the stakes that are on the line in this game, I'm really excited about seeing them in person and trying to tell a little bit of their story.
All right, brother. Well, it should be fun Sunday. We can't wait to check it out. Like we said, a rare appearance for you on Lions coverage, but appreciate you coming on as always.
All right, Diesel, and thanks so much for pushing my Twitter account. That's huge.
Hey, it's no names, please. We're not going to get into the burner accounts or anything else. We just we leave it at that. All right, brother. Have a great call.
All the best, bud. Talk to you soon.
There he is, Ian Eagle with us from CBS Sports on the call of Sunday's game, Lions and Jets. We'll have the postcast for you on Sunday right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.